afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. A very, very warm welcome to the Business Brunch live here on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere possible. I don't know. It's all over the shop, but you're very, very welcome. So wherever you are listening from or listening into, do come in and say hello to us whilst I explain a little bit about the show, because just in case someone's just stumbled across it by accident and thinks, oh, what are these people going to do for the next 45 minutes? This is your opportunity to come and network, come and share your stories, good news stories. Talk to us like we're your home team. You know, a lot of people are working from home now and will continue to do so and can feel a little bit separated from the rest of the world. So we want to be your working from home team, the people you have a chat with there around the water cooler, although we don't have one, you can pretend. Tell us what's going on in your world. Tell us where you are. Tell us if you've got any good news you want to share, but also if you've got any problems that you'd like us to have a little go at handling for you as well. Between the four of us today, I'll come back to that in just a moment, I'm sure we can come up with something. But first, for the eagle-eyed amongst you, there's normally three, but we have a very special guest today in the form of the fabulous Amantha King. So welcome, Amantha. Thank you for joining us today. I'm going to pop over to Amantha and let her introduce herself in just a second, but I will also say hello to my gorgeous co-host. We've got Vanessa Ashworth, who is just the value prop princess. Yes. And then the queen of strategy and all things business related, our very own Melinda Ward. So welcome, ladies. But Amantha, thank you for coming. Do you want to just tell people who are watching a little bit about you and who you are and what you do?
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I feel really, really honoured. I think I said it. I felt like the fourth wheel on a sports car. So it's brilliant. So thank you very much.
I think we're more like a Robin Reliant than a sports car, but you know, we're getting there.
We'll get there, but a really fast one. So I'm Amantha King. I'm the founder of Amantha King Coaching. I'm an executive strengths coach. And when I'm not doing that, I'm also a menopause coach. So that's a recent addition to the services that I'm offering. So yeah, I'm absolutely delighted to be here. And I feel really privileged to have been invited to talk about menopause with you all today.
Thank you. And yeah, the title today is about menopause for men, which might throw people a little bit, but it's important for us all to understand more about menopause, how it impacts people. And Amantha, very rightly, when she was talking to us about, you know, how we're going to do this show is we all know women. We're either working with them, we either are one, or we know somebody who is one. And there's a big impact on menopausal women and how they work in today's society. And we need to be able to help people understand that better. And Amantha's going to be helping us with that today and giving us some facts that'll probably blow our little minds, but also just some ideas of how we can help ourselves and other people navigate the world of work and life while suffering with menopausal type symptoms. Before we do that, though, we'll do our usual check-in, see how you're doing, see where you're calling from, see how your weekend was. Has anybody popped in already?
Well, we need to invite everyone. Anyone who's watching, please get in the comments, say hello, let us know you're there, and let us know where you're saying hello from. We've got Howard here, who's been brave enough to start, and he says, "What a gorgeous, lovely, sunny day." So it is in Salisbury. And it is here in Bolton, actually. We don't see the sun very often up north, but it's glorious today. So say hello wherever you are in the world, and we'll drag you on screen.
And don't forget, we've mentioned it before, but for anybody who's new to the show, because we broadcast on many different social media platforms that are affiliated with our individual profiles, you may not see all the comments that we see. We see everything grouped together. But if you're, for example, on my LinkedIn feed, you won't see comments from, for Sarah's feed or Vanessa's feed or Amantha's feed. So don't think that you're the only one in the room. You're not. You're just in a space where you're seeing part of the broader group. And if you're watching us on replay, that's fantastic. Please drop in a hashtag replay in the comments as well and let us know you've been there.
Okay, so we've got a few more people now who are saying hello. Susie Withers is with us.
Hello.
Very good.
Very good. From Southampton. Sorry, Susie. I'm sorry. I can't promise they'll get better either. Simon Jarrett is here from South London. Hello, Simon. And Danny is back. Danny waves from Stoke-on-Trent. I didn't know you were in Stoke-on-Trent.
Hey, Simon.
Joe Morgan is here and says it's very sunny in the Midlands. And Martin Gillespie says, greetings from sunny North Yorkshire. There you go. So they're the only people who have said hello yet, but I'm sure more and more will jump in and say hello as the show goes on. Hopefully, they'll have lots of questions for you, Amantha.
I think so, and it must be the only place in England that isn't sunny. I'm from Guildford. I'm near Guildford, Alan. Alan's just come in from Guildford. Well, he's not come in from Guildford. He is in Guildford. I'm just outside Guildford, and it's not sunny. So, Alan, might be where you are. Maybe it's just gloomy around my house. I don't know. But lovely to see some new faces coming in. I think this has got a big, big thing to do with this young lady up here, this Amantha King person. Yes. Oh, there you go. You know, Simon. Oh, there we go. Friends.
Yeah, Simon and I worked together for many years in the past. So.
Oh, is he one of your 47 friends?
No.
Okay, that's a joke from another show.
That's a different set of friends. That's non-work people. So
okay,
not that I'm dissing Simon, but you've got to have. There has to be separation between work and social sometimes.
Okay, so while we're just saying hello to some more people. Oh, hi, Helen's come in from Bury, like Bolton. It's lovely. Yeah. All good. Yeah, Alan, it's a bit drab, isn't it? Bit drab, but never mind, maybe we'll get some sunshine later. So just while we're waiting for more people to come in and say hello, should just do a quick roundup. What have you been up to this weekend? And also tell us what you've been up to this weekend, folks, if you are listening in. Anything you're excited to tell us all about, anything you did that was amazing this weekend, or anything that happened last week that you just want us to go, woohoo, well done to you, because no one else has noticed. We'll be your cheerleading team. So Leslie's in as well. Oh, Sterling in Scotland.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Fabulous. Thank you for joining us. So Amantha, let's go to you first. Put my teeth back in. Do anything exciting this weekend?
Well, do you know, I did. I've been self-isolating at home for about 2 years. I've got an underlying health condition, which meant that I really haven't ventured out at all during the pandemic. So I went big on Friday. I went to the Ivy for someone's 50th birthday.
Nice.
But #did it differently. I didn't drink. And you know what? It's a bit of a test for me. Not that I have a problem with alcohol, but I just had a brilliant night because it was a late night and I managed to get up on Saturday and bake a cake, which I haven't done for months.
Bravo.
Because I've been trying to lose some menopausal weight. So it was all good. I had a really enjoyable night, not drinking, but enjoying the company. So yeah, that was me.
Good for you. Very nice. Great. What about you, Melinda? Actually, let's go to Vanessa first because we know what's going to happen when we go to Melinda. She's just going to answer us all.
Well, I'm just going to be with you on the not drinking bit. So I'm at about 250 days not drinking at the minute. And part of that reason for not drinking and giving up alcohol was not because I had a problem also, but it was because I was told that approaching menopause, if you didn't drink, you'd be less symptoms, you'd be kind of stronger and better for it. So I thought, well, why not? I'll give it a go. But that wasn't the only reason. But I'm with you on having a better night out. You might not feel as kind of in the giddiness, but it's so liberating knowing that you can drive home, knowing that you're fully aware of everything. And you're right, the next morning, the alarm clock goes off at 6, fresh as a daisy just again, and you've still got all the weekend ahead. I didn't go to the Ivy this weekend. I was kind of stuck at home, but I was with my son and we had a creative weekend. We did lots of pottery. He also got me doing lots of sewing. He wanted to cut up one of his jumpers to make gloves and things. So it was just, and we took a red one, and then I found out he was making Spider-Man costume, and it was looking really, really good. And it was red, so we got the gloves, and he'd made a mask out of the hood, and I was helping sew. And then he took it all downstairs to paint it blue.
Blue Spider-Man.
A blue Spider-Man. And I know he's gone through different guises, but we also watch lots of Marvel films, so it was really good. Before we go to Melinda, let me just say hello because there's more and more people coming and saying hello. So let's kind of rewind. We've got Waggy is back. Welcome back, Waggy. We've got
Waggy.
Familiar faces coming saying hello again. Lots of wishing you all the best too. We have got Heather. Heather's here in sunny Hertfordshire. And she was actually talking about menopause yesterday with a friend. So Good timing. Kim says hello. Looking forward to listening to Amantha. There we go. So Kim, as we said, does a show with
Lucy
Grimwade on Fridays. So catching with that as well. Simon says alcohol has a problem with me and not the other way around. One way of looking at it. Susie has been a non-drinker for many, many years, but the symptoms have hit her like a bus. Oh, okay. Oh, maybe.
I'll get back to drinking, Vanessa, if that's the case.
Yeah, bring me back the wine. I know. And Rick in the US says he didn't realize that men had menopause. You'll find out more. What does Simon say? Simon says he organized and hosted a virtual wine tasting. Oh, we're out.
Awesome.
With a friend who is the sommelier for a local restaurant.
Wow.
Fancy.
Very nice. And Howard went to a country and western 40th birthday party. Robert Jr. in Montana. I don't know that. Along with line dancing, excellent. Plus his dad, Dave Montana. Great entertainment. Lints of songs. Don't know.
Probably lots of songs. Yeah.
Lots of fun, maybe. Not its regular evening, but enjoyed the evening. It sounds like loads of fun. My mum's started line dancing classes to get fit. So anyway, yeah, good.
That sounds very fun. Cool. Good. Well, it's lovely to see some new faces on here, and nice to hear everyone. Very, very quickly, I'm going to let Melinda tell us what she did this weekend, and then we'll get into the learning bit. Because Melinda, if you've never watched this show before, always does something more interesting than everybody else, and has a lot of friends. So we're not jealous at all. Melinda, how was your lovely weekend, my love?
Well, I went, a group that I'm a part of did a big group night.
How many were in this group? Sorry, how many?
This was 100? About 159, 160 friends.
Friends.
We all went to the Secret Cinema Bridgerton ball en masse and in full Regency attire. So, got to bust out the tiara on the tube one more time. Because opportunities to wear tiaras in life. I'm just going to put that out there.
I think you should all do all future shows in a tiara, because not everyone gets the joy of seeing you at the weekend dressed up in your outfit. So yeah, I'm wanting a tiara next week. Oh, I won't be here next week. The week after maybe. Good for you. And again, Vanessa and I, we're not in that 159. No, it's fine. She knows.
I offered you. Y'all didn't choose to come along. So.
I know. I'm only pulling your leg. I'm glad you had a lovely time. Very quickly, what did I do? I went out on Friday night and with some friends for dinner, and it was lovely. And I don't really drink either. And one of the guys I was sat next to said, "How do you do a night without drinking?" And I looked at him. I was like, how do you do a night with drinking? Because I've got to get up tomorrow morning and do X, Y, and Z. And he's like, doesn't it bother you not joining in? I was like, I am. It bothers them more than it bothers me. I'm fine. I'm, stupid enough with or without it. So, I think people find it a problem when you don't drink and join in, but I don't. It just, don't really enjoy it. Okay.
And just quickly, Simon says, on the exciting front, he's preparing his house for sale because he's emigrating to Luxembourg. How very nice.
Oh, very, very lovely. Good for you.
That's some big news there, Simon.
Yeah, cool. Is it for a new job, Simon, or something? Let us know. Are you changing what you're doing? Very exciting. Cool. Right, over to the main part of our show, which is all today about menopause for men, how we can help ourselves and others understand menopause better. So whether we're working with people, living with people, or just know people that are suffering, we can do more to make their lives a little bit easier, because it's not easy to live with. And somebody who knows that better than most is Samantha King. And I'd like to start, actually, Amantha, if I can, is just asking you, because you're a leadership coach, and well, you do lots of coaching, but you work with leaders, similar job to what I do, but you've got a real interest in this. So where's this come from, and how have you got so involved?
Well, thank you. That's a lovely introduction. Where's it come from? It comes from, I've been coaching for forever, like you, Sarah. And, a coaching conversation always starts with, how are you? Pause. Someone will tell you fine. and then you say, how are you really? And then people go, well, my wife hates me. Family's falling apart. Can't speak to the kids. They don't understand me. Basically, it's a nightmare. And, you know, there's only so many of those conversations you can have before you start joining the dots yourself in a minute. Actually, problems with relationships, disconnect between two people. And I just then started to appreciate in my own situation when I became perimenopausal at 36, which was less than 2 years after I had my daughter. Wow. You know, I'm a science geek. I've got a science background. I promoted HRT first time round in 2000 when I was in the pharmaceutical industry. So you can know a lot about stuff. And it just became apparent to me in my own personal situation that I was going through something that was way out of my control and was quite frightening. And there was little to no support coming from my doctor. And it just drove a quest, really. That's what it became. I became a bit like my own superhero, that I was going to be treated well and not be signed off as worried well, which is what happened when I went to my GP surgery. And I'm very open about it. I went one day and a locum doctor was there. It was my 13th time that year going in to ask for antibiotics because I had a sinus infection, which, by the way, is related to histamine and is related to why people don't get on with alcohol as we go through menopause, but I can touch on that later. And this lovely locum said to me, would you like to tell me what's been going on? And I sort of started to tell him, and he cut me off and he said, do you think you just need a holiday?
Yeah.
And yeah. I thought, yeah, I really do need a holiday. I need a holiday from this conversation. And he said, it's just that it says here on the notes that you're worried well. And I said, can I see that, please? And I literally came and I looked at the screen. And that is not a medical diagnosis, by the way. That was basically signing me off as some sort of hypochondriac, some sort of neurotic, stressed out mum. And that's when I became relentless with this. I made it my mission to change the narrative. Because actually now I'm a 50-year-old woman who's really happy at this time in my life. It's taken a lot of time to get here. It's taken over £10,000 of my own money to get here. And I don't want that for other women. I don't want that for other men supporting women. It shouldn't be this difficult. So that's how I got there here, Sarah. You know, a long-winded answer.
No, it makes perfect sense, and good for you, and thank you, because I know there's other people that do this as well and have a real interest in it. Not necessarily coaches, but they have an interest in making this heard. But you're in a real privileged position to be able to do this with individuals, but also with organisations as well. And that's one of the things we want to talk about today, isn't it? Is the amount of women who are impacted with menopausal symptoms and how it affects their ability to stay at work or be at work effectively and ask for the help that they need. So there's so many different things to this. We've got a few comments coming through, Vanessa. I don't know if they're related to.
So there's one that's related to the subject, and so Waggy says, for menopause, one, for women considered as a second honeymoon. I don't know if you'd agree with that. And number two,
I wouldn't agree with that, I'm afraid.
Now's the time you share your life wisdom with your children, and please note the pause is stop and think. So cheer that time. Okay.
Well, I think that kind of might lead to a lot of people, even doctors, or maybe especially doctors, don't have much knowledge of what it really means for like the menopause. But there's actually a list of like 28 or 30 some odd symptoms that I saw, you know, like as far as the master list, and it's stuff you wouldn't realize. And so a lot of people have a lot of things going on, like anxiety and difficulty sleeping, and, you know, difficulty feeling confident and things like that, which are chemical problems because of the hormonal changes. But if you go to the doctor for one of those, they won't ask you about the others. And so you have to learn more and start to self-advocate. But where that translates into the workplace is that if you've got people who suddenly seem to be having imposter syndrome, where they've been really strong performers before, or they're really unsure about themselves and they're not confident in doing things that you know full well they can do, there could be underlying things going on there. It's not just, oh, they're having a bad day. It could be literally hormonal withdrawal symptoms.
Yeah, good point. And I like this comment from Wuggy. This one we absolutely agree with. Yeah, there's lots of psychological changes. There is, everything's going on in the bodies. And yet, if someone is there for you, it will go. And I think it's meant to say smoothly or more smoothly. So that is true. So if we go to, a lot of women who are suffering, this isn't really to diagnose symptoms of it necessarily or to help people understand the symptoms. However, it's really important to acknowledge there's lots of them. This is about how can we help people recognize what's going on. Exactly like Melinda's just said, one of the points is to notice the changes. Where were they before and where are they now, and what could be causing that? But before we came on air, we were just talking about a post that Santander had put out this morning about the way they're helping to overcome menopausal issues within the workplace. And some of the figures there are probably worth sharing, which is 25% of the female colleagues are over menopausal age, and that's over 3,000 of them. 50% are managed by men. 50% of the managers are male. 15% of absences in 2019 were women aged 45 to 55. And 15% of those were attributed to menopausal type symptoms. So, and one other big thing that came out of that, which I was interested in, is that under 50% of the women with these problems felt comfortable talking to their managers or raising it at work. And this leads us on to some of the facts you shared with us, Samantha, about the number of people who've left work because of menopausal symptoms. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, so the first thing to be really positive about is the government are on this. They're all over it. Okay, we've actually got a task force dedicated to menopause. So yippee, long time waiting. We've actually got government ministers on the case. Prescription charges are going to be slashed for women in that you'll only pay one prescription cost for a whole year. But why? Well, it's because we've had 1 million women leave work already. This is an economic crisis. There will not be enough money in the collective pot to pay the pensions of these women if they're not at work. The average life expectancy is 83 years of age for everyone on this call. So if your menopause hits you at 51, you've got another 30 years to live. How are you meant to survive that if you don't have the financial means, the support to do it? So we need men and women, and I'd come on to that point in a minute. We don't have enough supportive women in the top ranks of leadership actually saying, yeah, hands up, I've got I'm menopausal. Hands up, I'm going to make all sorts of mistakes. And actually feeling safe in that environment. And the reality is, I think what we have here is we have 14 million lost days of work. That's phenomenal. What does that equate to in terms of money? 1.8 billion pounds lost from our economy.
And that's just the UK economy.
The UK economy.
Wow.
So now tell me menopause isn't worth talking about. It directly affects, and then we can't spout on about equality, diversity and inclusion if we don't have women represented in those top positions. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm really passionate about it. And you're absolutely right. And organizations like Santander literally were trailblazing a couple of years ago. So we already have templates for what great looks like. Channel 4 has also done it. Lots of big organizations are now following their lead. It's not difficult. The best thing that you can do if you are listening to this conversation is start a conversation about menopause in your workplace. It doesn't matter if you've got one employee or you've got 100 employees or more. You can start this process, allowing people to have a platform to talk about perimenopause, to understand it. So delighted to see so many people on this call. That's proof that there's an interest there.
There is. Let me read out some of the comments because there definitely is an interest. So Leslie does say, you mentioned Santander there. We'll share the link to the Santander report at the end of the call.
Yeah.
So then also Christopher says he had to jump on because he's intrigued and wants to know more. So good for you, Christopher. Danny says that Waggy's input is interesting. He'd be interested to know in the lived experience of the hosts. Simon says, in his admittedly limited experience, menopause is not a monolithic single set of symptoms. It's entirely different for every woman who experiences it.
100%.
And he carries on to say, and so we men need to be more knowledgeable about the topic. And so we can be more understanding and supportive, which is why you're here. Well done.
Yay.
And Leslie also says, good point about the diversity and inclusion aspect of this. MP doesn't come up. What's MP?
Menopause and menopause
Policy.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay. Thank you. Right. So there you go. Carry on.
Yeah.
Can I just also just add on that, Sarah, coming back to Melinda's point about the symptoms. Today we actually now have 46 recognised symptoms.
I knew there was a lot.
Wow. It's only been today, Melinda, and the reason for that is it takes the average woman will have 8 symptoms that she doesn't realise are connected. And if I could share, some of mine were, I was constantly at my dentist going, can you tell me why my gums are burning? And why I've got this awful metallic sensation on my tongue? Can you also tell me why I've got a bald patch here on my hair when I'm on holiday and there's more hair on the floor than there is on my head? Can you tell me why my eyelashes have all disappeared off the bottom set of my eyelashes? And can you tell me why I'm hemorrhaging like I've just had a baby for 6 days every 3 weeks?
Oh my goodness.
And so can you see, for many women, plus throw in the psychological symptoms of I totally lost my confidence, I didn't leave the house. But do you know what? When things started to improve, I set up my business because actually there was a window where I did feel good. And I thought, no, that's something I want to do. And so really, it takes on average 14 months for any woman to connect those 8 symptoms out of that list of 46. We're really up against it. But actually, I thought it was lovely what you just said there, Melinda. If someone can notice and go, listen, is everything okay? Just, wondering how you are. Just, I noticed that you seemed a little off, or, just your reaction to something. I think if we can always act with compassion and kindness, you'll get someone who will just open up to you and go, yeah, it's a nightmare.
And I wonder if some of the reasons people don't, I mean, Amantha, you and I both know about the lack of coaching competency there is throughout many organisations. Not necessarily in the pharmaceutical industry where we were both born and bred, but across many organisations. And this is another conversation that people will feel possibly anxious about bringing up because it sounds like you're interfering or you're asking personal questions. But also when people don't know what to say about it and realise they can just be empathetic and that's all they need. I wonder if you find that people don't want to bring it up because of that as well, just this fear of broaching a conversation that might look like we're prying or trying to coach someone and say, you're not doing a good enough job.
That is absolutely it. That is absolutely it. It's that fear, it's that stigma, it's that I'm going to be judged here. And yet, if I said to anyone around the table, how would we deal with someone who's pregnant? How would we deal with someone who's just had a bereavement? We'd approach that conversation in exactly the same way as we'd approach someone who seemed to be struggling. You'd know what your policies are. You'd know what the right questions are. You'd listen more than you spoke. And it would be about creating that space for people. So we need to get over that. As one of my esteemed colleagues, Lee Chambers, said, we need to get off the fence, and we need to be bold, step into this, because it shows that we care. And actually, if you ask someone twice, how are you? What you've demonstrated to them is, I'm not processing you, number one. Number two, I actually really care. And I'm asking you because I care.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to say, I mean, I'm approaching 50, and I'm as far as I know, I'm not started yet. But there is a kind of, I started with the fear of talking about menopause because I think, oh God, it's just another thing that we're going to get beaten with. Another reason that we won't get employed, or another reason that we won't be taken seriously, or and I just kind of think, but I think normalizing it is the answer, isn't it? I think, being open and,
I've just seen a question come in from Simon. It's just very much related to what we were just saying.
Yeah.
And it's about that it feels like a real minefield for men. And so not only may you not be confident in broaching personal conversations anyway, but this could be really personal. It could be something you really feel uncomfortable with because you don't know enough about it. So how do they even broach the topic? I really need new teeth today. How do we even broach the topic? I'm so excited. Amantha, can you give people a couple of, I know you said ask how they are and ask again, but if you were Simon, what would you do? What words would you actually use?
Okay, so first of all, Simon, the responsibility doesn't all fall to you. Actually, your organisation needs to be a big part of that first process. It's going to be a marathon, in that actually we need to create an environment and a culture where people feel it's okay to talk about not just menopause but their mental health as well. So it's going to take time. But something I've got to show you, which I think will just help you as an individual, is this book. Men, Let's Talk Menopause. I'm going to be interviewing this lady. She's called Ruth Devlin. She's an ex-nurse. This book will have you laughing out loud. It's absolutely brilliant. Because actually, we need a bit of humour. We need for men specifically to understand menopause. So my husband read this book. You'll see how thin it is. I mean, you could read that in the time it takes you to maybe have a pint or, a large glass of wine or a coffee. But it's something that's very accessible. It will take you through a woman's experience. And actually, ladies, also, though, anyone who's got female hormones, it's a great starting point because it's complex. Menopause is one day. So if I could just cover that off, the terminology is all wrong really anyway. Perimenopause is the first stage that will happen to women. I'm still in that stage after 14 years. So I'm not done. Menopause is actually the day when you haven't had a period for 12 months. So even that little snippet is educating, isn't it?
Yeah,
because it's saying, okay, that's just one day. And then after the next chapter of my life is postmenopausal. So really, we need to help people understand that perimenopause is where it all starts to go wonky. And that's because our hormone progesterone starts to fluctuate. And progesterone is the hormone that helps us have babies. When that starts to go a bit awry, then the other hormones follow too. So testosterone is our number one hormone, ladies. Not estrogen, which is what the media will tell you. And it's not progesterone, it's testosterone. So having a book like that, I would thoroughly recommend as a starting point. Lots of great people to follow on social media. But once you do, let's say someone's constantly late to meetings or has their camera off at meetings when previously they would have had their camera on. It's about looking at a pattern of behaviour and not accusatory, but just saying, I've just noticed you don't seem yourself. Is everything okay? And someone will decide whether they want to or not, but not to be put off asking.
Yeah, I
would say, not to be put off.
Yeah, I've had team members in the past where I'd noticed they used to be, like typically they'd be quite confident about doing like leading a workshop or something like that. And then I start to ask them about projects, be like, oh, well, I don't know. And it wasn't so much saying, it wasn't pinning them down and saying, are you perimenopausal? That wasn't the point at all. It was more saying, look, let's have the conversation privately, not in a group setting, but hey, you've done this a zillion times. What is it that's bothering you about? Oh, well, I just don't feel confident at the moment. And just kind of not dealing with the hormonal problem, but dealing with the emotional problem and the lack of confidence is something that anybody can do. It's like, look, we've done this, let's do a practice session then. Let's talk through it. To provide that support is something that anybody of any gender can do. And if it's a partner who's worried about a work presentation the next day, that's something we say, hey, you've done lots of these, it'll be fine. And just remind people of the successes that they've had in the past and, help them to visualize that same success can still be part of their future, even though they might, feel a little less confident because their brain's a little bit foggy or they've got some extra anxiety going on. But that extra support really makes a big difference, and not just the dismissive, oh, I'm sure it'll be fine, and then walk away, because then you feel like you haven't been seen, you haven't been heard, and you've just been dismissed, and your concerns have been dismissed, which just makes them bigger at the end.
I was thinking as you were speaking then, Amantha, I don't know whether, from being a young girl in work or a youngster at work, you obviously have periods. No one talks about periods. And, as someone who suffered with horrendous symptoms to the point where I could be off for 3 days a month with that, never talked about it at work. Do you think there's a need to start talking about women's hormones way before we get to menopause? Because if we're starting to talk about it when we start to join work and realize we're in an organization that genuinely cares about us as a whole, so that they're not having to ring up and go, oh, I've got another cold today, because you sound like you're lying, and you are. So people start to mistrust you, and then you start to lose confidence because you're not there. So it all starts there, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And again, what's really encouraging is that the powers that be in government have put together the women's health strategy. I've got a fabulous infographic which basically shows us from birth to death. And it shows throughout that entire life course, and the life course of a woman, that's going to be terminology in our psyche going forward. It's all about hormones. I mean, if we think about it, we're told, you know, when we're younger, don't get pregnant, do whatever you can not to get pregnant. Okay, control all of it. You then get pregnant, and then the first conversation you have with your GP after that is, actually, do you want contraception so that you don't get pregnant again? And then we're told when we get to menopause, actually, you're on your own, girls. Yeah. Sorry, no contraception, no hormones, off you pop. And it's like, actually, no, come back, because our hormones, we need them for our brain health, our heart health, our bone health. We cannot, that would be like asking a diabetic to jog on and have a go at controlling your blood sugar without any insulin. It's not fair. It's not fair. So yes, we should be talking about women's health policies in work. But you know what? If we can beat down the door of menopause as a way of getting in, let's do that.
Okay,
cool.
We've got lots of.
But just once you show those, Amanda, I just want you to have a think about if you were to give some tips now for the people listening on what they can do about. We've talked about raising the conversation, but what about if they've got nothing going on at work around this? How do they start? How do they start making it a thing, and how can they use this information more effectively? But let's go over to the comments that are coming in first.
Yeah, just lots of comments. I wanted to kind of recognize them. So LinkedIn user says, is one of the challenges that there are a range of symptoms and not everyone's affected the same way. And so it doesn't affect all women the same way. Kim says, if we only help one person open up and talk about it, then it is worthwhile. We need to normalize the conversation. And then Joe says, can we show the 46 symptoms? Sorry, that was that one. Heather says mood swings and brain fog are the ones that affected her the most and knocked her confidence. And then you realize it's medical. But she started this at 45. Christopher says he's interested to hear the facts and figures that you mentioned. Incidentally, his wife started at 38. So he's, witnessed something similar to what you've been.
I think his words are right there. He's experienced it. He probably has really experienced it, because it's not easy to live with someone when they're going through that.
And Heather says it's so hard for all of us as the doctors don't get it. They don't match up all the different symptoms and then offer antidepressants. Yeah. Simon says he appreciates the organisational environment needs to change, but he wants to go and get that book. And Leslie also says thank you for the book reference. Christopher then had to leave. And he said he's had to go. Really informative, but food beckons. There we go. So yeah, Amantha, help us. What can people do to get it on the agenda in their companies?
So, I mean, the simplest way is to literally turn up to your HR department and say, "Can I see our menopause policy, please?"
Yeah,
brilliant.
That's the simplest way. Or menopause guidance. Can I see where it is? Because if you haven't got a policy, you can also have something attached to your health and safety guidance. Reasonable adjustments at work. You can ask, what are we doing? I would really just, if you can find a couple of you can become menopause ambassadors and advocates in your organisation. Get someone like me in, because I'm working with organisations that help raise that awareness. We do webinars at lunchtime like this. We have small social groups. And I just wanted to say about men, if you are sleeping next to a woman that is having menopausal night sweats, you won't be sleeping either. And this will be affecting your performance, your ability to do your work. So if your wife is, irritable and it's not a great dynamic in your house, that's affecting you. It's affecting your mental health. So actually, we're in it together. We're in it to win it. And that's what's really important. And that's what that book is really good at doing. I came on before and said I haven't had I've not had a great weekend menopausally, but gold star to my husband, because he put a little note on my laptop as I opened it. Told me to be kind to myself and to look after myself today. That's the sort of thing we need. And actually getting some positive pressure in your business is what's going to help. So download the Channel 4 policy if they haven't got one at work and go, well, there you go. That's how you do it. But I think starting conversations, have some menopause chat groups at work that you can either set up during coffee breaks, lunch times, once a month. But, you know, DIY if no one else is putting it on the table for you. And that is definitely going to raise awareness.
And I think if you're scared to bring it up, or you go and HR say we haven't got anything, it's a great time now. We're talking about breaking the bias anyway for International Women's Day last week, but it's going to last all month. Why not make it last all year? It's part of DE&I, isn't it? So this is just another thing. HR need to be interested in this, and if they're not, you need to keep pushing that agenda. And I'm sure.
May I just add one more thing, Sarah?
Yeah, sure.
In terms of employment tribunals, I hate to throw in that they're coming for you, because the employment tribunal numbers are going up. You turn the newspaper every week, there's another one. We've already had 20 this year already.
Wow.
Women claiming unfair dismissal, lack of promotional opportunities. So it's a thing. It's a thing.
Me. So there's a real drive.
Yeah. And the counter side of it is, if you are someone who's got menopause policy, think what that does for your reputation. You're going to attract top talent. Women are going to want to work at your organisation. You're going to have less people leaving, and it's going to be just wonderful. So there's only gains to be had by doing it.
Brilliantly said. Brilliantly said. So there's some more stuff coming in. Just say, well, that's coming up. Everything you've asked for, we will put attachments to. Once we've come off the show, we'll add them to the show link, so you can find everything Amanda's been talking about. I'll put the Santander LinkedIn post link onto it as well, and you can add on the 46 symptoms thing you were talking about. But Vanessa, over to the comments.
Yeah, so Rick says it definitely needs to be discussed for sure. It's not an easy thing to deal with business-wise. Mark says that he's just ordered the book. Great advice, perfect timing. Why did I not know what the word menopause actually means? You know what? And don't be good for you for saying that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a woman approaching menopause, and I've kind of shied away from it myself. You know, so you know, it's good that we're talking about it. And Jo says that she's working with a startup and pulling together their HR policies as part of the project. So pleased that when we agreed the confirmed list, employee well-being included a menopause policy, and it was firmly in that list, which is fantastic.
Excellent.
Isn't it? And Waggy says it's a good idea if the HR of a company can organise awareness lectures. I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Lunch and learns like this, to whom either approach or in or after to support women. Rick says, unfortunately, we men were taught to stay clear. Well, we can start breaking that bias, can't we? We can start being more supportive and leaning in and helping each other rather than hands back, arm's distance. And someone says there are more claims. Have any been upheld? And yeah, that'd be interesting. I'm sure there are. And they've asked for any case references. So we'll try and put any kind of references and the things that we've talked about today in the chat after the show.
And also, just remember, if you need any help with this, then get in touch with Amantha directly. She's on LinkedIn, Amantha King Coaching. She looks like she does on screen. It's no smoke screen at all. This is her. So you can find her easily. She knows her stuff, and she can come in and help you do all sorts of things, or at least talk to you about what is out there to direct you. So please use Amantha. And she's obviously a huge advocate of this topic and knows her stuff. And she's wonderful anyway. So
He says, sorry, just excellent discussion. He's just checked their policies and it's missing. So he's going to take it to the next people committee. Thank you.
Well done. See, even just in 45 minutes, we could have changed one organisation's approach to this. That is brilliant. Well done, Amantha, and well done, Leslie. Listen, we're running out of time. We've got 1 minute left. I want to say a massive thank you to you, Amantha. I'm sure we could go on for another hour or so talking about this stuff, not longer. And I know there's loads more you've got to share. So as I said, get in touch with Amantha if you want to hear more or learn more about this. Thank you for joining us. We'd love to have you back and talk about more and see how you're getting on and how organisations are changing. Thank you to my two fabulous co-hosts, Vanessa and Melinda, as ever. Next week, we do have another guest. We are going to be inundated with guests for a little while, which is wonderful, which is the lovely Catherine Jones, who is Think Wine Director. She's also an entrepreneur of another company as well, which is an influencing company, you said, Vanessa. I think I should check that. Sorry, before I came on. So you can have a chat to her about being an entrepreneur, running a business, she's just fabulous in so many ways, but she's going to be talking to us about her experiences. And so we look forward to seeing you. Well, I won't see you next week because I'm going to be on holiday. But these two ladies will be with you, Vanessa and Melinda, and you'll be joined by Catherine Jones as well. Thank you so much.
Can I just say as well, a thank you to all the men that have taken part today.
Well done.
Thank you.
Bloody well done. Sorry, well done for sticking with us and wanting to learn more. I'm just impressed. Really
impressed. And I know often, especially when you see a panel of 3 women, you've now got 4 women. It can be quite off-putting. So well done, you. It's not all about being female. It's about being human. Super way to spend lunch. Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you all so much. We'll see you next week. And Amantha, keep in touch and let us know how you're doing.
Yep.
Take
Bye.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.